Ladies and gentlemen, hi, good evening. Welcome to my channel. Will be the second time I make a video touching the religious subject. Or basically my channel is based on that. So in this occasion, I will be talking about the first few days of creation according to the Genesis account in the Bible, which in my firm belief I think is bullshit, right? And it's got zero ground. And what the apologists are doing is sugarcoating it, changing the parameters to fit their narrative, right? And what you're going to see on some of the videos, because 99% is going to be watching other people's videos, and the point I'm trying to depict here is that you can have something written down in the Bible and have about 6 or 7 different interpretations of the same bullshit, right? And they say the Bible is inerrant, that's the biggest stupidity in the world, right? It's like having a manual of something and saying how to do 7 ways when it's only telling you to do it a specific way, but saving people. So I said, no, it's this way, it's that way, right? So I've got about this video is going to be long, okay? So first of all, my apologies for that. If you don't want to watch it, fine, it's all good, but I want to have it as a record, because I haven't seen one video with enough dedication to actually debunk it, right? There's been brushed over sort of thing, right? And many apologists are putting too much emphasis on the first, second, third, on all the 6 days, but they just saying it. Oh, it's one day is this, one day is that. No, that's not happening. Okay, and let me explain you the reason being. So now I'm going to switch to my main setup, the different scene from OBS, and start saying it as I see it, basically, right? There's nothing scripted. I just got it in order of the videos, right? So I might be muffling a little bit here or there, so my apologies for that, but I don't like to prepare, right? Because it feels that if it's been manipulated the subject, right? So I have researched it, obviously, but I don't want to run a script like, for example, Daft Dawkins does, a stupid plonker, right? So, and I am subject to be corrected, right? That's no problem. Okay, so without further ado, let's change scene and let's start. Okay. So, right, let me be clear. I'm going to start with my graphic program, where I've done some sort of presentation. Oops, sorry. Hit my mic there. And we're going to start here, right? So this is my first thing. Okay, I think it is a real stupid the creation days, right? And my attempt is to debunk the first 2, right? So let's start. There have been many people that have done different type of illustrations for the younger people, like this one, right? This is made from the Answers in Genesis people, the Australian guy, ham and egg guy, and it's a very simplistic. I think it's mainly to convince kids, to give an idea what they were talking about without complicating the issue, right? Because otherwise they will have to tell the truth, and that's something that he cannot do, right? So, and this is more for teenagers, right? More in a structured manner, right? So my goal here is to be like, you know, the good cop, bad cop. Well, I am going to be the bad cop, right? I'm not going to be nice. I'm not going to start sugarcoating anything or trying to mislead you in any way. I'm going to tell it as it is, because I think that's the best way of doing things, right? So let get rid of these two, right? Now the creation, the first thing what it says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form, right? So let me show you something here. Well, yeah, show me here, like so, right? I'm going to take issue with the first line. Sorry, with the second one, with the second paragraph. Now the earth was formless and void. Okay, now I'm going to touch on two: formless, the concept of formless, and the concept of void. Right. So apparently, God made this. Right, make the heavens. There's nothing. It's absolute emptiness. Right, like a massive black hole of nothingness. Right, and inside there, He created this. I'm going to try to illustrate what I'm trying to say. Oops, not that one. Click here. This one. Sorry, my bad. Right, that one. Right, that shapes. I'm trying to show the formless and the void that other people translate it as, or in other Bibles they translate it as empty. Right, they want to take the word void out of the equation. I'll show you what I mean here pretty quickly. Right, so for example here in Bible Hub, it does say it's void here, formless and void, right? And in Genesis here in the Bible Gateway, it says formless and empty. Right, they're changing it's the same thing but in a different way. Okay, so knowing that doesn't matter, but I want to poke at those two terms, like if you would have made it right there and then. Okay, so it says that He created. Well, when I say He, I'm thinking He's got a wiener. Yeah, because I don't see Him as having a camel toe, if you got what I mean, right? He won't be that intelligent, right? So without form means it hasn't got no volume or mass, basically like that, almost like an invisible thing of something, right? And I'm going to give you some synonyms, yeah, that I've got it written down here. So form could be explained as deformed, unmade, malformed, undeveloped, ill-defined, unshapely, nebulous, indistinctive, invisible, abnormal, anomalous, disfigured, or vague. That's only on formless, right? So take your freaking pick, whatever you want to call it, at this perception of the created side of it. Talking about planet Earth, right? Or planet empty, so we call it. Not planet Earth, planet empty. Because at the moment is nothingness, right? And then the other part is called void, right? What is void? Void is, as I said, the synonymous empty, bare, vacuous, barren, or without content. So it is nothingness with nothingness inside. That's the terminology of the phrase in the Bible. Now the earth was formless and void. Please think about what is saying here. Formless and void. Sorry about this, but I have to hammer it down. Okay, if I take the red border, it is a blank screen with a form of nothingness. That's what it's saying. I'm not making this shit up. It is what it is. Right? And then further down, according to the Bible, it says, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Hold on. Hold on. What would you think the face of the deep means? Right? The face of the deep is not the surface of the sea. It's talking about underneath the waters. It's talking about the surface, or the face of the surface, but of the deep, of the deepest of the ocean. Because I think the ignorant people that were writing this, they were having a wash on a lake or whatever, right? And they're looking down and say, gosh, there's no light there, right? So there must be darkness. Yes, there is darkness, right? But they haven't got the concept, they haven't got the idea, they don't know shit about any scientific procedure, method of finding out things. They're just spewing it out, right? And then the next paragraph, it says, and the Spirit of God was hovering the face of the water. So the face of the deep and the face of the waters is two different things. It's actually the opposite. Face of the waters, right? Now he's talking about surface. And the face of the deep is under the water. Okay? But anyway, the Spirit of God, like if God had a third person, is saying, hey, Spirit, get your ass down there, down the waters. I created nothing out of nothing, right? Without form and without void, but go down there because there's water. So in all intents and purposes, it is a blob of water, right? Go down there and hover it. Start fucking skimming it, you know, doing all this, right? Surfing type of thing, right? And just wait for my instructions. And that's what it says. So, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Right. Another thing. The ignorant people at that time, at the Bronze Age, they were not aware of the characteristics of planet Earth, which was an sphere. Not a circle. Not a circle. A sphere. Right? Sphere. Right. So if you say the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters, is this, I'm just going to get my trusty basketball press release, right? So, pen real quickly. Okay. So, are we talking about being in a particular point or all over the planet? I.e. the Spirit. Was it all over the planet? I'm getting to a point. And it's very, very, very important, right? And be like, just stay with me for a second, okay? Because, right. So if the alleged Spirit of God was hovering, right? If it's in a point, fine. But then we don't know where, because then what part of the ocean, what type of, where in the planet was this entity, supernatural entity, was hovering, right? So if it's hovering throughout the whole of the planet, right, then the Spirit has got a problem in the sense of time. I'll just say in a minute, okay? But if it's in a single point, when that entity will know what will be the time reference based on what, okay? Because that's where the next challenge comes along, which is, then God said, let it be light. Okay. For what? To where? Right? And there was light. And God saw that the light was very good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Really? Okay. Divided the light from the darkness, right? So I'm going to give you an example again, right? This is a bicycle torch, highly powerful light. Okay, so I'm going to point upwards, right? To give the idea of giving light, right? Or what is it giving light to, or to where? Is it going to give light to a particular point on the planet, i.e. one focal, one beam of light, or overall light, right? It's very important, that concept, okay? So if I put light on, a really powerful light, right? So bear with me. So where is he pointing the light? Is he pointing the light in a general manner, or in a specific point, i.e. generic, right? Let me take this light off. Too powerful, right? I was getting to a point because it's very important. This, if the source of light is in a particular place, then the hovering, no, if the source of light is pointing, right, where is it generated? Because the Bible is using the concept of day based on a light, not based on the sun. It's just pure light, right? So we don't know where the light is, or how to use it as a reference to know when a day is. Allegedly, it starts at nighttime because it says God created the heaven and the earth. So that was a night event. Okay? So, having said that, once the light is created, we don't know from what part of the universe the light has been created, because it most definitely not is the sun, because the sun allegedly was made on the fourth day, right? So, based on that, if the spirit, or allegedly a spirit, was in one place, right, and the earth, for the earth to make a day, has to have two parameters: one, a rotation, and second, a source based on the rotation, based on the point of origin of the source of light and the rotation. So you got the source of light, and then this thing will rotate, however long it takes. Okay, but we call it a day a full rotation, because it takes one single 24-hour rotation to be from night to day, or from night to darkness. Sorry, not from night to day, from night to darkness. Sorry, from darkness to light. Apologies, from darkness to light. Okay, to rotate one, to make one single rotation, right? But if the spirit was all over, there's no day, or there's no night, because if a god, a supernatural entity, made a source of light, and then he says, I separated the day and the light, where did it go? Where did the light go? Right? There's no darkness when there's light. Right? So it's like in a room. If I turn on my room light, okay, it will be dark, but that doesn't make it night. It just makes it dark. Yeah. You go to an underground bunker and you turn off the light, it could be at 9 o'clock in the morning and still be daylight, right? So it's all relative to the source. Okay, so we don't know the source of the light, and I have heard some silly, some idiot saying, "Oh, the light is God." Well, that makes it even worse, right? That makes it even worse, and I've heard it in a couple of videos, right? And one of them I'm going to show you. It says it, right? It says, "God is the light." In the first 3 days, I get bullshit, but anyway, right? But that's a defeater, because allegedly God is everywhere. So if it's everywhere, there's light everywhere, so there's no night, there's no darkness, because allegedly God is everywhere. So that's out of the question, right? So it has to be a fixed light source to be able to determine a day cycle. Right? So you have to bear that in mind, because that's my basis for the argument. Okay, so I'm gonna shut this down, and then I'm gonna start showing the video about how people interpret the days of creation and how far they're willing to take it. right? So, okay, let's... Okay, this is the first video. For kids, obviously. Miss Susan. Right, let's see what she's got.
Hi, kids. Welcome back to Faith.
Thank you.
Susanna.
Susanna, sorry.
Let's look at our treasure today and see what we can learn from God's Word. We have our Bible.
Ooh.
And let's see. Ooh, flashlight.
Flashlight. I got one too, bitch.
Things ready? We are going to read today from the very first book of the Bible.
No.
It is called Genesis. Can you say Genesis?
Genesis.
Very good.
Thank you.
Genesis means beginning. So let's open to the beginning.
Please.
And see what God's Word has to say.
Yes, Miss Susanna. Oh.
These are interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why these are in my Bible.
It came with your shitty Bible.
To our lesson.
Okay.
We're reading Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty.
Do you just know? Do you know what you just said, woman? Empty and without form.
And darkness covered the deep waters.
Darkness on the deep water. Of course, it was dark, right? So now she's reflecting how deep it is. Okay, carry on.
Like this, darkness.
Ooh.
Then God said, "Let there be
a torchlight."
Light.
Oh, I thought you were going to say torch.
Light. Then he separated the light from the darkness.
How did he do that? How did he separate the light from the dark? Oh, you're going to tell me it, right?
God called the light day and the darkness night.
So you're using the light as a source of being day. So light equal day and darkness equal night.
And evening passed and morning came, making the first day. Just
like that. Just like that. You're talking to kids from what? 5-6-year-olds? And you're saying that just pointing a flash onto a dartboard, you just made creation.
This is the first day in the whole world that God began to create. Here's another way to see the light and the dark.
Yeah, tell me. I can see light and dark, light here and dark here. What are you going to do? Cellophane paper. Metallic paper.
He called the light day and the darkness night. So now he created time. He separated the light and dark for daytime when we can play and work. And then he created the nighttime. Darkness, a dark time to rest.
To rest, yeah? So the emergency services, no. They are sinners, okay? The police, emergency service, ambulance, fire brigade, okay? They're all going to sleep, right?
God created that.
Of course.
When he made light to give us color. Let's look at some colors.
No, not really. It's based on our eyes, or the evolution of our eye. Excuse me. We can only see a smaller spectrum of the actual light. Anything.
Do you see blue?
Yeah.
And red.
Right.
Before there was darkness, no colors. Now light gives us color. What color do you see now? Yellow. And those are not the...
Guess what? Even if you go to a room, you turn off the room, the colors will still be there. Funny enough, but hey.
The only colors, those are called the primary colors. When you mix those colors together...
Okay, you get different colors. Fine, you got it. Okay, happy days.
Also... And
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we get it.
Light, to give light to our dark world. That is what God made on the very first day of creation. Let's sing a song.
I know. I'm highly impressed.
About creation.
Okay.
beginning with day 1. God created.
What the fuck are you doing with your hands? You're wanking.
God created light and dark. Light and dark.
Light and dark, no. Light and ignorance.
That was on the first day. That was on the first day.
No, it was not.
It was good. God looked at the light that he created and he said,
actually, he was, if that is true, he was watching it already as he was putting it on, right? So if I got my torch, right, and I turn it on, I'm actually looking at it as it's coming on, right? It doesn't need to look at it afterwards.
It was good.
Oh, yes.
The day was good. The night was good.
So everything was good.
Let's practice our memory verse. It is Genesis 1:1. Can you do that with me?
Oh, that's indoctrination there happening.
Genesis 1:1.
1.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
No, it was without form. It did not create the earth. Technically, it was a blob of water. At that time, at that right time, it was a blob of water.
Yes, God created the heavens and the earth. Let's pray to our Father, our Creator. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Say, Heavenly Father.
No.
Thank
You're full of shit.
That you are the Creator.
Oh.
Of the heavens.
I got some music for you.
And the earth.
Warning!
Awesome.
Warning! Bullshitter alert!
God.
Bullshitter!
In Jesus' name.
Oh yeah.
And all God's children said, Amen.
Amen.
God created light and dark. He created the light just by speaking it. With his words, he said, let there be light, and there was light.
From where? What point of reference? Yeah? What? You being intellectually dishonest by just saying it. And the kids are using you as an authority. Oh, Miss Susanna is right. She said that God made this out of speaking it, out of his voice. Yeah, made it light, right? Is that what you're saying, woman? I can see now that you're blonde.
He is an awesome creator, and this is day 1.
Awesome.
We are going to continue with every day learning all the amazing things that God created in our world just by speaking them. I hope you'll join me.
In what language do you speak?
Next week for day 2.
Not really. Okay, enough of this woman. Right, so yeah, on to the next video, yeah?
Stories of the Bible. Creation.
Right, before we carry on, this is the second and last for kids. Okay, this is another spin, I would say.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was empty, formless and dark.
Formless and dark. So it was nothing, it was a blob.
But the Spirit of God was there. On the first day.
But it was there where? It was there.
God said, "Let there be light." And God saw that the light was good.
From what point of reference? See, you got the light here, behind the source, behind the blob of water. Well, this is correct, the illustration, but not the light, because that light will be overwhelming if there's light on the opposite side. Okay, so this is an incorrect, and you actually depicting the sun, not just light, because you put the rays here.
Then he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night.
No. Because then you don't. You see, the light already is. I know it's for kids, but is depicting it incorrectly. Because already even the light source moved, but this blob has not moved. So there's no rotation. Therefore, there's no day cycle. Remember, the two things have to happen: have a source and have a rotation. If I'm giving the light, but the light without enough intensity to overwhelm the entire planet, right? That's one. Okay, so it has to be small enough, or the rays, the luminescence has to be low enough to illuminate half of the planet, right? Up to the 2 poles, and darken the other side to be able to have the concept of day and night, half day, half night.
On the second day, God said, "Let there be a space to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth."
Right, I got beef with that as well. This is another thing I'm going to touch later. Right? What this person have said is that there was water on the actual planet itself, right? Like a body of water. And it was separated. It's giving the illusion here of separating 2 portions of water, right? And that comes to another video that I will show you in a minute, right? So it's separating it, right? But in a concentrical manner, right? From the center. So you got one inner water and one outer water. That's basically what it's saying, which is according to what the Bible says.
God called the space sky.
Right, this is another problem here, right? And also I'm going to talk about it later. Clouds is impossible to be happening in the second day. Literally impossible. And I've seen many illustrations of the second day, with clouds. And that's a no-no. Because clouds need heat to evaporate, to have water molecules. This is water molecules, basically, right? And the amount of congregation dictates if it will be precipitation or not. Okay, so in essence, what it's saying here is that it's a lighter condensation of water, or condensation group of water, less dense. This is more dense, and this is heavier. This is where precipitation might start. Okay, but anyway.
On the third day.
Well, not forget about this. This is one of the videos that I will cut, right? Because I don't want to talk about anything else. Because if we cannot accept day 1 and day 2, the rest is irrelevant because it's not correct. Okay, so that was my intent in this video. Now it's going to be from the point of view of adult. Okay, so there's going to be more drama. See? I'm already impressed. Here is jumping directly to the second part. And not the first part is that it was created the heaven and the earth. Here is just going straight for the freaking jugular. Talking about the planet, right? The earth was without form and void, which is the first part of that what I'm talking about. Remember, form and void, or formless. Without form is formless, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Face of the deep is talking about the subsurface. This is irrelevant. Right now, if he's trying to depict what's happening now, this is wrong again. Same with the kids version of it. Okay, you cannot have in the first day of the alleged creation cloud. You cannot. Okay, you can't. It's just simple. You cannot. Right, and also it's been illuminated when there's no light. If they want to illuminate it, and it has to be with heat. Right, to give the illusion, right, of evaporation, right, because otherwise that's a misinterpretation of the normal natural the normal event as we know it. Yeah, and there were. Let there be light. Okay. So how can we? So this is after what the guy just trying to represent, right? Remember, there's no light now. So allegedly something is going to crash into here, yeah, and we can already see the light. So there's no light. Oh, an impact. So God made the light. In the kids version, Miss Susanna used a torch, and this guy is using a comet, a meteor, or a body, a space solid object to impact the Earth or the surface water. Right here is depicting it as having a solid. Right, he got this from somebody trying to show an impact of the planet, right, with Earth, almost no water, whatever. Okay, so anyway, right, this is light for this the person who made this video. You see, and there was light. Man, it was light here, and if you think a spirit will survive that impact, okay. By the way, the source of light, there's no night here because you can see. The problem here is that whoever made the rendering of these 3D objects did not put enough, stopped enough light source. It did not stop it, basically. Right, so therefore it created overwhelming amount of light, right, that rendered this out of darkness. There's no darkness, basically. It's badly made. You can even see the freaking stones or the meteor fragment from behind. Is zero darkness, and the light was good. Okay, now. Oh yeah, look. I'm static, and God saw that the light was good. So this guy says, okay, the God concept of making a light is to crush an asteroid on the planet, which is water first, right? And then create light from there. Okay, so it's like basically striking a match. Impressive. And there was evening and there's morning. Not really. Not really. Did you notice that the planet, this planet was not moving? Yeah, there's no rotation. It's probably rotating around the sun, but no rotation on its own axis. So even if it was 24 hours, right? Light is here, so there's no sense of 24 hours per se. It's fake, right? It was evening, and there was a morning, the first day, just like that, just like that. And this is what we had to put up with. Right. Another version, okay? Let's go for it.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Oh, this sounds more profound.
And the earth was without form and void.
Okay.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Okay. Oh, why have we got light? Why are you depicting light?
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water.
You see, the face of the water. Here, this gentleman is depicting face of the water. It's actually depicting the whole planet, right? It's like It's like moving across. Yeah, it's like I'm everywhere type of thing. Okay, so that means the concept of the transition from night to day is impossible once you create the light, because you are always on the light.
And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
See, here is correctly depicted the light and darkness. Okay, but he fucked up here again, because you got clouds. There is no clouds. It cannot be clouds. Remember, there's no clouds on the first day because there's no sun. No sun, no heat. No heat, no vapor water. No vapor water, no clouds. Duh.
And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God...
You see? Even you got wind. You got wind. You got a tornado here.
Called the light day, and the darkness he
Yeah.
called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
See? This is now allegedly looking from the planet out to the outside. Okay, that is cloud. No, there's no. It could not be cloud.
And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters."
Right here, I have to give kudos to the designer, because what this person has done is put a black frame above from what that is. It could have been in a lake for all I care, right? And what he's done is put a black doesn't matter, a black something on top of the film, right, to depict darkness. Okay, now what is important, what they're going to say here is that because on the second part of the verse, it's actually separating the waters, which is another bullshit approach.
And let it divide the waters from the waters.
Divide the waters from the water, but upwards, right? Very important, upwards, right? Not divided the waters as in oceans. Dividing the water upwards, so, and not a particular place within the planet, the whole planet. So we're talking about an inflation of sorts, right? So whoever invented that had to put in his imagination that he has to make more water or separate between what it was there already and I mean, in a way you can make it up, because if you got water covering the earth, you need to get rid of it, and to get rid of it, to expose the land, that in a weird way would make sense, right? The problem that they got with this version is that when you put a second layer, right, and they call it in the middle firmament, which is the whole basis of this part, is that where is the second part of the layer, or the upper layer? Where is it?
And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament.
Right. So you've got another problem here. So if you put the waters above the water, we're talking about waters above the clouds. And again here, between day 1 and 2, there's already clouds. No, you cannot have clouds in day 1 and 2. It's impossible. Physically impossible. Well, the whole creation bullshit is impossible, right? In natural law, right? But even if you're trying to make it real, right, you have to justify how the cloud is made. And you have to say, oh, he made it because he made it. No, then that's a special pleading. You're making shit up, right? So prove what you're saying, right? If you're saying that God made the firmament, right, and divided the waters, and between the waters is the actual firmament, which is the fuck up, because the next day is going to bang the solar system and all the stars in between the firmament. So basically, between in the atmosphere, is putting the stars in the atmosphere, right? Which is it runs analogous with the flat Earth theory, which I'm going to show you in a minute in another video, right? That's the problem that we're getting at, and that's why people you have different opinions on how this was constructed. Anyway, let's play
from
this
the
game.
waters, which were above the firmament.
You see what I'm saying? Let's say again. It's a water which was above the firmament. I'm going to say that again.
Waters, which were above the firmament.
Ah.
From the waters, which were above the firmament. And it was so.
And it was just like that, right? So here, if they want to go by the book, there should be only atmosphere, clear atmosphere. And please, ladies and gentlemen, look at this depiction, because I'm going to later in one of the videos, I'm going to star our main attraction, Hugh Ross, which is an all Earth creationist. And his version is that this sky or the atmosphere is actually blocked, literally blocked, right? And he says, oh, and he took the obstruction and created the light. Some shit like that. It's unbelievable. Anyway, crazy. That, no, bullshit. You cannot have that. You need the sun to create the water molecules. How do you create? How the vapor moves in this particular way? You need wind, right? Now, I got a video on how it's made. I mean, literally by the book. It's nice video. You know what I mean? Nice video of the cloud formation on how it's made. That's nice. It's a nice video for that only.
The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork.
Really? Well, hold on. That's the second day, right? Second day, and you got the sunshine here. Fake. Woman, get your shit right. Now, impossible. The light source is from here. The sun is here. You can see shades here. That means the sun is somewhere around here. Right? Nope.
And God called the firmament heaven.
Called the firmament heaven. No, he created heaven and the earth without separating it. So if you separate it and call the firmament, which is the empty between the distance between the two waters, so what is above it? Right? So he said at the beginning, he says God created the heavens and the earth, which is this, right? Heavens and the earth, which is what I said to you before, the emptiness. That's heaven, right? And then now in the second one, the separation of the waters, the firmament they call heaven. Why? You're calling two heavens there. Go back a bit.
Heaven. And God called the firmament heaven.
So, okay, call the firmament, which is the gap in between.
And the evening and the morning were the second day.
Based on what? Based on what was the source of light to be able to be the second day? That's the whole point I was getting at. Right? Nice video, nice melodrama there, right? But not true. Sorry. Right. The next video is from a pastor receiving questions. Okay, so here we go.
Howdy, Pastor Mark Driscoll here with a weekly Ask Pastor Mark newsletter from Mark Driscoll Ministries. You send in a question, I provide an answer, and then we debate on social media.
Like if you know the answer.
Whether or not it was a good answer. So if you've got one, send it in to hello.
We don't need a good answer. We need the right answer.
At markdriscoll.org. And I wanted to let you know we've got a brand new website. Thank you to the team that put that together. I don't have any of those skills. They did a great job. It looks awesome, except for my Shrek-sized head, but you work with what you got. The
that's your problem.
Functionality is great. It's a lot easier to get to all the Bible teaching. And also coming up very, very soon, Lord willing, a brand new app with all of the Bible teaching.
So basically people work for you for nothing.
Right to your phone, and 55% of you are accessing the Bible teaching from your phone, so the app will be a great...
It's actually a teaching, and you're supposed to be a teacher.
addition for our ministry. This week's question comes from Josh. Josh sent in literally just one sentence. That's all I got from Josh. He's a man of few words, but he does have a question. And he asks, was the earth created in 24 hours?
Right. It wasn't created in 7. Allegedly, it created in 6. So that shows you the level of ignorance. You cannot even get a day right.
Our days. Now, some of you are into creation and creation versus evolution, so let me finish this newsletter before the mushroom cloud appears, and then you can all debate it.
Okay.
When it comes to the Bible, if you've read the Bible, here is one. I would encourage you to do so. The Bible starts, chapter 1, boom. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and we're off.
Heaven and the earth. No. A heaven and a blob of water. And then we off. Read the freaking Bible.
That's the firing gun that is launched for the beginning of the story of God's world, as revealed in God's Word. And in Genesis 1, it goes on to talk about what God created over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. It walks it through.
No. 7 days rested.
And then the question is, are those literal 24-hour days?
Oh, you just fucked up there. You're using the 24-hour. That's the fallacy that or the error. Not fallacy. It's not a philosophical thing. It's an error. This guy is using the concept of 24 hours, right? But based on what? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's no sun, right? No sun, no daylight, no sunlight. Okay, so what's the source? Is the source moving?
That's Josh's question. And this is a very important question. It's like a key that goes into a lock and it opens up a door into a whole theology. Most people would say if it believes 24 hours is in fact true, then perhaps the earth is fairly young. I wouldn't necessarily think that those two have to go together, but for many they do. Others would say, no, let's put that key in a different door and unlock it and go a different direction. If it is metaphorical, if it is symbolic, if it's not 24-hour...
Metaphorically is equal to making shit up.
Literal days, then creation could have happened over an extended period of time. That could make the earth, in fact, very old. And so how you answer this question, it really determines which door you walk through and kind of...
How about this scientific door method? That door. Can you open that door? And don't be ignorant and saying that it is a theological response. We're talking about the creation of the world, okay? And that's being dishonest.
Where you end up on the age of the earth and how God created the heavens and the earth and a lot of the details regarding creation. So it's a very significant question, Josh, so I appreciate you for asking it. And Galileo once said that the Bible tells us how to go to heaven, not how the heavens go. And I think his insight is good because what we know about creation is really just the first few pages and a few other sections of Scripture. But if it were a film, very quickly the camera pans in and focuses on Adam and then Eve.
What? That's afterwards, man.
And then Satan and his temptation.
Satan and his temptation. Who the fuck made the temptation? Who made the devil? You stupid idiot.
And then the families and the patriarchs and life from there. So
family and patriarch. Patriarchs. Oh, I know the people you are.
It does give us sort of a Google Earth pulled back panoramic of creation, and then focuses in on the details of creation.
Patriarch.
It does so in just a few pages, and so much of the debate about issues regarding the creation of the world, it's really arguing over the finer points of ancient Hebrew text in just a few pages that begin your Bible. But nonetheless, it's incredibly important because it's God's word.
No, it's an interpretation of a man-made story. Ding ding.
Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert! Bullshit!
Yep.
I would think that it is most likely, I want to be careful with this, that the 24-hour day is what is being spoken of in Genesis for a couple of reasons.
Wow, so that means you are a young earth creationist.
Number one, each day is numbered. Day 1, God made this. Day 2, God made...
No. It's written that way. Okay? You're going back. You are doing a circular argument. It is so because it's written.
that. Day 3, God made this. Day 4, God made that. But the numbering of the days in sequence seems to indicate actual 24-hour literal days.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, it says that there was evening and morning, and evening and morning.
See? This is a dishonest preacher. Right? He's not putting in concept how the natural world works. Okay? Where was the sun to make a day? Stop talking bullshit and be honest.
Morning and evening and morning. And in the Hebrew world, where the day started at sundown, then that would be the typical way of denoting a day. You know, there's day and night, and we'll use that same kind of nomenclature. And when we do, we're talking about a full, literal, actual 24-hour day. Number 3, and I think this is perhaps the most compelling case for a literal 24-hour day. In Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, it has the 10 Commandments. And if you remember the 10 Commandments, one of them is that God worked for 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested.
Oh, it is so because the Bible said so. That's called circular argument.
Therefore, that day is holy. It's set aside as a Sabbath day unto the Lord.
Who gives a
so
shit?
What it's saying there in Exodus is that God set up and established in creation a 7-day week. Now, what's curious about that is that...
Yeah, tell me, what's the curious thing about that?
Other cultures, atheistic cultures, and...
Bitch! Atheistic cultures? What the fuck are you talking about?
Nations have tried to do something other than a 7-day week, and they fail. And they keep coming back to a 7-day week because it just seems like the way that God built us, we function according to 6 days of work and 1 day.
No. We, as a species, have adapted according to the environment. That's called evolution. You shit for brains. Yeah, shit for brains? Hold on.
Alert! Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert!
You understand? You're going backwards.
Of rest, and a 7-day week is just literally the rhythm of the human soul.
No, it's not the rhythm of the human soul. That's how everything works. Okay, if we got rotation, we got rotation. Every living organism, even the inert, work as it goes. If it rotates in 24 hours, so be it. Right? We, all the living species, have to adapt to cycles, but it's based on the rotation. It's not based on us. Okay, you making us feel like we are the important ones. Okay, well, does at least it work in a different way? Because is the spirit? You're full of shit.
And atheistic nations can't even change the calendar.
Shut the fuck up.
So even our present calendar is built on a 7-day week as God created.
Right, as a Christian God, not because of the rotation of the earth every 24 hours, right? It cannot be that. It's not due to gravitational pulls. Of course not. That would be too intelligent, right?
And that's what is based in Exodus. 6 days God worked, 1 day he rested. 6 days we work, 1 day we rest.
Actually, technically, that's not correct. Because you work, if your bullshit is correct, he worked for 6 days and rested forever. He has done fuck all after that, right? So he technically got a massive holiday to date.
Call that the Sabbath day. For those 3 reasons, I think it is most likely that the days in Genesis 1 are in fact literal 24-hour days. But I wrote it down. The Hebrew word for day there is yom. And those who do study the Bible and do disagree on this point, they rightly do see that that word is used in other places in scriptures like Psalms and Ecclesiastes. You can study it for yourself as more than just a 24-hour day. Sometimes it literally...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the interpretation, right? The day, the physical day, is due to the earth rotation. Like Miss Susanna at the beginning. Say earth rotation. Can you say it? Earth rotation.
Really means a period of time, an extended period of time.
Extended period of time. Okay.
So those who are reading the Bible and say, well, maybe it was an extended period of time and God worked creation over more than just 6 actual literal days, they are doing so by doing a Bible word study that doesn't necessarily mean they don't know the Bible and love the Bible and trust the Bible. And so what I would say is in Christian...
So that means basically that you're not saying that they're wrong. You're just sugarcoating it. Saying, okay, whatever. And we're not going to fight them because we are brothers in Christ and we cannot make them stand corrected. Because you cannot make them stand corrected because it's factually incorrect for starters.
There are closed-handed issues that God's people need to agree on. There are open-handed issues that we can disagree on, maybe even discuss and debate, but do so in a way that is not disagreeable.
What? You're talking nonsense. Either a day is 24 hours or a day is 2 million years. Make your fucking mind up. But don't be intellectually dishonest and saying that 2 people agree on opposite issues. You cannot have a young earth creation. It's not compatible with a old earth creation. That's intellectually dishonest by definition.
The closed-handed issues, I think it would be best to say, are found in places like Hebrews 11:3.
What you're doing is cherry picking to be coherent with the rest of the old age creationists, because you are young earth creationist.
Where it says, by faith, we know that God made the world out of nothing, and
I say what? Out of nothing.
He made it by the sheer power of his word. Okay, closed hand. God made the heavens and the earth, and he made everything out of nothing by the powerful force of his word. Is the day a 24-hour literal day? Is the earth young or old? Some of these secondary details of how God did it, I think.
Secondary details. Man, you do not appreciate knowledge. It's all about made believe, faith. It doesn't matter. Just believe it.
Those can go in the open hand. And I think that people who love the Lord, who believe the Bible, who are working from the biblical text will come to different conclusions. I have my own leanings, and I've shared some of those with you. But this should be something to discuss, something to dialogue, something to debate.
Oh, yeah. What you call it? Bible meeting, right? So you can get money out of it.
But not something to divide over, because by faith we know that God made everything out of nothing, and how...
By faith, without any good reason to believe it. Without having a good reason to believe it. That makes you ignorant by default.
He did that. Maybe there's a little less clarity and a little more ambiguity than we would like. But the Bible also says that we see in part, we know in part. One day we will know fully as we are fully known. And when we get to the Lord Jesus, he's going to answer all of our questions. And I promise you this, every one of us.
Answer the question. Why can I answer the question now? What's the beef here? Yeah, so we have to live our lives in ignorance, or believing in people like you to say, no, just believe it by faith. Yeah, knowledge is not important.
Is wrong about something, so we need to have a little bit of humility when it comes to these secondary and open-handed matters. So there you go, Josh. That's my answer. If I had to flip a coin, I would say yes. I think the days are 24-hour days, but I'm open to the possibility of being wrong. Thanks a bunch.
You're wrong. No worries. Okay, now we're starting with the good stuff. This was just bullshit, right? This is just the appetizer of the. I'm looking forward to the main course, right? This next video is from a flat earth nutcase that is justifying using the Bible, right? Using the Bible for the same bullshit that the other geezer just said.
Hello, my name is Tyler Doka, and what I'm going to explain to you today is why the Earth...
Hold on. From Pillar of Truth Pillar of Truth Christian Church, Brother Tyler Doka. Fucking hell, nutcase. Okay? So, in the beginning, God made the heaven and earth. Forget about that, yeah? He's going to hammer about the firmament.
Earth was created before the sun. So if you believe in a heliocentric model of the universe, essentially what that model will tell you is that the Earth spins around the sun due to the gravitational force of the sun. But the Bible actually says something completely different.
Hold on. Okay. Let's hear that.
And I'm going to show you that right now. You'll see here by my chart, I have laid out the days of creation, and we're only talking about days 2 through 4 here. And I'm going to show you exactly why the Earth was created before the creation of the sun, which would not make sense in a heliocentric model. So let's just read our first passage right here, which is Genesis 1, verses 6 through 8. I put everything up here so you can see. I put what each verse is about. And I also drew little pictures so you can see what's happening on each day.
Oh, you can draw as well. Nice.
So let's look at Genesis 1. It says in verse 6, "And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters."
Yeah, we have heard that before. Remember the previous video about saying that waters divide the waters from the waters. So technically, he's correct, right? I don't believe in the flat Earth, right? Don't get me wrong, but he's reading it literally, right? And it has to make sense based on the ways. On the way it was written.
"And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above."
Right, he's putting emphasis on 2 locations, right? But the difference here is that he's going he's not looking at concentrically, right? He's looking at flat, in a flat sense. So the water, he divided it by raising the water, right? But let's watch.
The firmament, and it was so. "And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day." So here we see that we have day number 2. In day number 2, God creates the firmament, and what the firmament is, it divides the waters from the water.
Actually, it's not creating a firmament, right? Just bear with me with something, right? If you go to a beach, right, and you put your hand onto the sand and you move the sand, right, that's the equivalent of creating a firmament. Basically, you're creating a void. That's what you're doing. Or in this case, right, if you got 2 glasses of water, like a syringe, right? You got a syringe, right, and you pull the syringe with where the water is, right? You suck water out, right? And then when you lift the syringe, you got 2 bodies of water. That's basically what he's saying, okay? And the gap is what they call the firmament. The gap, the empty space in between the 2 sets of waters.
waters. So before the earth is created, before any of this happens, we see in Genesis 1, it says that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So previously, all we had was waters.
Correct. That I agree 100%. According to the text, what it says in the Bible. Okay, I'm following the narrative of the text. Okay, I'm not saying that it's true. I'm just saying what is written. It is what this guy is saying. At the beginning it was water, a blob of water. That's what I was trying to depict from the beginning. That's why I'm saying that different people interpret the Bible in different ways, right? And it's mental. It's mental. This guy is a flat earther. The other one is a young earth creation, and the other one is old. It's nuts.
That was it. And then what God creates is a firmament. We're not going to go into the firmament today. That'll be another moment, if you will. I'm going to be calling this series Moments. What it means is it's a short period of the Bible. We're just looking at one specific topic right now. And that topic is why the earth was created before the sun. Right now we see God creating the firmament. The firmament is, if you will, a glass-like object, a crystal-like object. And what it does is it divides the waters from the waters. So if you just have water, and then you take, if you will, a bowl, like a dome, and you put it in between, you'll have waters under the bowl, and if the water was high enough, you'd have waters on top of the bowl. And that's exactly what God did. He created a firmament to divide the waters from the waters. And that's all that he did on day.
And he's saying that in a straight face. Right? A straight face. Like if he was correct. I mean, I know it's bullshit, right? But the poor guy is trying to interpret it literally how the Bible is saying it, which is correct, as I said before, but incorrect in the sense of the real world.
Day 2. If you believe in the heliocentric model of the universe, what that would mean is that God created, there was just water, and then God created, if you will, atmosphere, I guess, and there's water out in space.
Correct. That is if the planet is round, which I was trying to explain before, right? Because either way, the flat Earth is saying that half of it, and then the rest of the water going that way, right? The heliocentric model, which is the whole sphere concept, and he's correctly in saying that the water has to be in 2 layers of sorts. The one on the base of the planet, right, and another one, and then the firmament is actually the sky, or the empty part of it, like
somewhere. That's what that would have to mean. So
correct.
This is correct. Day 2. This is what the earth looks like. This is flat.
Only according to the Bible.
Flat. This is not going around in a globe. This is actually a flat plane. You can see all parts of this flat plane because I drew it as if you were looking down upon it, but this is flat, and this is just water, flat, and then you have a firmament dome with water above it.
Just like that. Yeah, there's no science behind that. It's just saying it because he's reading it from the Bible. That's how toxic the Bible is.
This would be a globe, if you will, and apparently the firmament becomes like the atmosphere is what they believe, and then you have water out in space floating around. But that's not what the Bible teaches. So let's go into day 3. Day 3 in Genesis 1, we're going to read verses 9 through 13. It says in verse 9, "And God said, Let the water under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so."
Right, okay. So basically it's saying it is not saying anything about the water above, but the water below, which is the water on the earth, is saying let's separate it, right? Separated meaning dividing the waters somehow to be able to show other characteristics like land masses. That's what he's getting at.
"And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering togethers of the water called he seas, and God saw that it was good."
So let's work with this one, right? So the water was already there, and then it moves somewhere else. You're talking about compressed water then, right? Yeah, because where's the water going to go? If the water is all over the surface, and it separated the water and moved the waters to where? The only way you can go is up or further up, because you already got the layer up, allegedly, right? To be able to have less water in this place, it has to, grow. Listen, it's a mess. It's a mess.
And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind.
Who cares? The first 2 days are fuck up.
Whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind, and God saw that it was good, and evening and the morning were the third day. So on the third day, we see that we have the waters, and what he does is he gathers them together into one place.
Say that again with a straight face. He gathers the water in one place. Say that again, please.
So on the third day, we see that we have the waters, and what he does is he gathers them together.
Of course he gathers them together. What can he do?
To one place. I'm not going to go into that right now.
No, really? Oh, it's too difficult for us, yeah? To gather some water together.
But what I believe he did was create this circle.
One thing you say, believe, you don't know it, so you're just making shit up.
Circular-like structure, and what he did,
No, it was already circular according to your system. So you cannot make it circular twice, right?
The way he did that was with the ice wall. The ice wall.
Oh, so you're talking about making an outer ring of ice, a border. Right? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So this silly bollocks is saying is that it made a barrier before it didn't have any barriers. So to make a barrier, to make the land, it had to make a barrier of ice all around, the equivalent of being the pole, or not. Not pole. It would be a circumference pole of sorts, right? That's where the water will go. Now that makes sense if you want to get rid of the water to reveal the earth. Okay, that makes sense if you want to reveal it. Otherwise, where the fuck are you gonna put the water? Right? Compress. You can compress it by making a wall, or make a fucking wall around the perimeter of the circle.
Well, fully encapsulates the flat Earth, and it creates it like a circle. So he gathers the water into one place, and then he also says, let the dry land appear. And he calls that dry land earth. So this is day three. So day 2, we have the firmament, and we just have water. Then he creates a form of the water, and he also creates earth. Earth appears, dry land appears. That's this right here. These little patches of earth are what he calls land and earth, and this out here in between all this is water, all water. And then we still have the firmament, and the waters above the firmament. That's earth. So earth, according to the flat earth model, is formed with the waters on day 3. Reason being is because it's not circling around anything. It's completely and utterly stationary. And God had already had the water just sitting there. He puts it all in one place, creates a circle, and then we have the earth appear. The earth appears up out of the water. God calls the dry land earth.
Of course.
That's completely motionless. But
motionless. There's no rotation. Right. This is the coup de grace from this asshole. Right. If it is, yeah, that's it. You're done. I debunked this asshole as well. If it is motionless, that means the source of light will have to move. Right. And it cannot be on a concentric, even if it's a concentric ring above it, it cannot be, because the light will be always there. So there's no night and day. Sorry. There's no light and day. Debunked. Hold on.
Warning!
If you're believing in the heliocentric model of the universe, what they have here then...
Warning! Bullshitter alert!
Yes, bullshitter alert.
God gathers the water, I guess, into a ball, and then that ball is not spinning. It's just in space with nothing around it in darkness.
Right. Why would you say it's not spinning? You see, in these two drawings, you depict the Earth as not moving or not rotating, right? Because you need to establish that everything else moves around the Earth or this contraption, either this one or this one. You cannot be further from the truth. You can't, right? And you are a danger to society. I hope you're not married. I hope you don't have any kids. For their well-being, because your ignorance is astronomical.
And the firmament is apparently atmosphere or something.
What the fuck are you talking about? Or something? You're spewing you're bubbling ignorance, right? I'm full of shit, but I don't know what to say.
That doesn't line up with what this is saying. Because according to if you believe in the heliocentric model of the universe, this Earth is spinning around something. The reason it's spinning and the reason that it has all this gravitational force is because the sun is apparently bigger than the Earth.
Well, why are you mentioning the sun at day 3 when there's no sun? You're talking out of your ass, little boy.
Earth. It's bigger than the Earth. So then the Earth comes into play and it sits in the gravitational force of the sun, if you will. Back when I took physics.
Say what? Did you just say you took physics? Shut the fuck up. You mean you had a class of physics and you went fucking smoking?
Essentially what they said is that if you would think of like a grid and you put a heavy object, let's say you had a blanket and
I think you've seen a video of that. That's what you've done.
You took a blanket and then you put a heavy object in the middle.
You didn't go to the. I've seen that YouTube video, right? I've seen your YouTube video, so you didn't go to that physics class. You just fucking watch a video.
That blanket, the things that are around the sides of that blanket will start going towards the center due to the force of what they would call gravity pushing down upon it. So that's not true according to the Bible. According to the Bible, we have this one place, the waters that are gathered together into one place. God doesn't say anything about the earth spinning around.
That's true. That's true. I'll give him that. I'm not saying that the guy is not full of shit, because he's full of shit. But here, he is shaping his belief based on what he wants to portray it at, not based on knowledge, right? So he's cherry picking his own narrative.
It doesn't say anything about anything other than the fact that the dry land has appeared and that we have, trees and herbs and all these other things. And then on day 4, we see the sun come into play. Mm-hmm. And hopefully this will make more sense now that we have the sun.
Fuck me, of course it does make more sense. Duh.
Let's look at Genesis 1:14. And it says in Genesis 1:14, and God said, let there be lights.
Again. Let there be light in the second day, you idiot. Actually, in the first day. He said that.
In the firmament of the heaven.
Why? So that means it's going to have 2 lights. One in the firmament means because the light of the first day could not go through the firmament. So he needs a second light and a second source.
To divide the day from the night.
The day from the night. Hold on. I didn't want to go to day 4, but...
And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light
light on the firmament of the heaven. See, there is a problem with that saying. Yeah, with that in that text. Because as I said before, and what this guy, this silly bollocks said, right? Well, I mean, in theory, half correct, because he's interpreting the Bible literally, right? And that would be a correct way of interpreting it, but he's wrong. But he's saying it the way it's written, right? So you got a firmament because somebody allegedly separated the waters, and inside of the firmament is putting a second light. Yeah? And let them be for the light in the firmament of the heaven. So now there is like two heavens. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And then they separated. Unless there was no heaven in space, and what he separated was the actual heaven. Okay.
Upon the earth, and it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
That's impossible. That's impossible, because if you got it on a flat earth, the sun has to disappear somehow or switch off for the secondary light to take over, aka the moon. Right? In your flat earth scenario, which is bullshit, but that has to happen because the sun has got more bright intensity than the moon. But at the end of the day, the light of the moon is created by the sun anyway, right? When it's a full moon, it's just been illuminated by the sun and bouncing off of planet Earth. That's basically it's an illusion. Right, the moon is not actually making light. It's the bouncing of the lights of the sun anyway. Right? So,
and he made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament.
That's fucked up. To say that it was in the firmament, that means it's between the two waters. It says on the fucking Bible, between the waters
of the heaven, to give light upon the earth only. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Nah, that's a fuck up. That's technically impossible. Okay, evening and night. So what was evening and night, evening and day here? That created it. A first source of light, right? According to what he's saying, which is technically correct in the sense of what he's saying, where they're putting the sun, which is not, it's fucking incorrect. Okay, that's why the text is wrong, but he's interpreting it correctly, right? But if you want this to work correctly, you need to modify the laws of physics to be able to do that. Literally have a switch on and off. Otherwise, it won't fucking work.
So according to the flat earth model, we have the earth, and then we have the seas, and what God does is he takes the sun, you'll see it over here, the moon and the stars, and he places them in the firmament. This is the firmament, this dome-like structure. He puts it in it, and the purpose is to give light upon the earth. That's it. That's what his purpose is, and for days and signs and months and years. The reason being is because there's the same stars you always see, and they're always circling around in the firmament, hence why you can tell the year, what month it is.
No. You cannot say that. You haven't got a model that depicts a day cycle. Never mind fucking weeks, months, and years. Yeah? You just saying it out of existence. You're making it out. You're just making it by just saying it. No. Bullshit. I understand what you're saying, that you're interpreting according to the Bible, right? But when you put it into practice, you can't. Where, if this sun is there, let's entertain it. If the sun is there and the fucking moon is there, right? When the sun ceases to give daylight, right? When? Does it dim out? Right? And there are many videos giving correct information on how why the sun acts in the way that it does currently, right? I mean, this is demonstrably false, right? But you cannot work around it. You have to invent this shit to satisfy the text of the Bible. That's mega wrong.
And because they're not just random stars out in the universe. So the purpose of the sun and the purpose of the moon is to start ruling over the day and the night.
Yeah, but don't fucking go like that, man. If you go like that, like a spoon in a cup of tea, cup of coffee, the spoon is there all time. You fucking look at me. Yeah, it does not make sense. It's illogical. It's physically impossible, right? If you got a big fucking a spoon in a bucket of water and you stir the water, okay, the spoon is gonna be there at all times, right? When does the spoon become non-present, i.e., the cycle day and night? That's what I'm trying. That's equivalent of what I'm saying. When the spoon gets the fuck out of the way, to say, oh, there's no more spoon, there's no more sun, aka night. Where? Tell me where. Yeah, don't just fucking just say it for the sake of it.
Over the earth that's already been created. The purpose, he didn't say, was to pull the earth, as they believe in the heliocentric model, to pull the earth around the sun and, I guess, give light to all the planets or whatever in the universe. That God didn't say that. It clearly just says he puts them in the firmament. And remember, if the firmament is atmosphere, according to the heliocentric model, then he would have had them put them in the atmosphere.
Yeah. According to the text of the Bible, yeah, I grant that 110%. But you have to understand that the text is fucked up. The text is wrong because it doesn't work like that in the real world. You have to own it.
That's the only way that works. And he didn't obviously do that if they believe that the sun is X amount of times.
Right, because the people who wrote it were ignorant. And they fucked up. And you guys cannot modify the Bible, i.e. make a 2.0 with the current version of how the planetary system works. You cannot make it. You cannot change it. Right, because that will defeat the purpose that it was inspired. There's a big fucking error in the Genesis account that defeats the narrative for once and for all. It is absolutely wrong. Absolutely debunked.
Larger than the earth and that the moon is this tiny little thing. No, he just said he created two great lights equal in size, and they are to give light upon the earth. He didn't say upon planets, which don't exist. He didn't say upon space. Their purpose is to give light upon the earth, and they're placed in the firmament. Hence why the earth was created first, and the firmament was created even before that, because everything had to be placed within it.
Yes, because people are going by ignorance, by lack of knowledge. Correct. I'm not saying that you are correct. It's correct that the way you interpret it literally. But that's wrong. It doesn't work like that.
It would not make sense to make an atmosphere and then make the sun afterwards and then make the earth start spinning around that sun. What makes sense is that the reason that the earth was created before the sun was to put the lights upon the earth within the firmament, in the firmament of the heaven. And you don't get that with the heliocentric model. You don't understand. That doesn't make sense. Then it means that the earth starts spinning. After that, it's not in the actual firmament, and it's not to give light upon the earth. It's giving light upon the whole solar system. And the moon just becomes this little thing that is not giving light to the earth. It's just reflecting the sun's light. Right. No, right. Each of these is its own light. The purpose of them is for days and months and years and seasons, and they're placed in the firmament. Hence why they were created after, because they need to give light upon this that was created before. I hope you can understand that. These moments will be short. They'll be straight to the point. I'll hopefully be able to create a visual for each one so you can see why God did things and in what manner he did them. And hopefully I can show you what's wrong with this option. You know, what's going wrong in the heliocentric model. You see it going right in the flat earth model according to the Bible, because the King James Bible clearly states that the earth is flat, and it agrees with us. It agrees with what we believe here at this church, and I hope you can see that, and I hope you'll stick around for some more moments as we go through. All right, God bless.
The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God.
Okay, that's it. On this next video, I am going to show you this character, William Lane Craig, and he's going to talk about this. Right, this is a depiction of the Old Testament cosmos, right? How they thought the planet Earth was like, okay, with some pillars and the stars inside of the water. Remember what we're talking about? Waters above the firmament, okay, and the waters underneath. And inside, which would be the equivalent of the atmosphere, the sun, moon, and whatnot. Okay, this is wrong, obviously, right? But this is what ancient people used to think. And William Lane Craig is going to say no, right? But I can prove it. Okay, so let's minimize that, but just think about this, right? Because they're going to talk about this. Okay, let's go.
Dr. Craig, you've been talking about ancient Israelite cosmology. You've mentioned that on your Defenders series, talking about Genesis and so forth. And you often hear that Genesis is criticized for having this outdated, garish cosmology of a dome over the earth, and there's water above that, and the stars are embedded in that dome. And I'm not sure what the dome was made of, polyester or iron or plastic or something.
Don't say that. We shouldn't ridicule them.
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
we might take it seriously.
Okay, so, you've clarified what that means, and I ran across a blog from Alex Bayman.
Right. He didn't clarify shit. He was just giving his own opinion, but let's carry on.
And he says that moderate Christian apologists have done an astonishingly good job of sweeping under the rug the fact that the Old Testament does indeed describe a flat, disc-shaped earth covered by a solid dome called the firmament.
It's very evident reading Alex's blog that he resents not having been told about these matters in his Christian upbringing, in his church.
Right. The problem is that this Christian that William Lane Craig is talking about, as a kid, the pastors did not tell this young guy that now he's a blogger about the firmament, how the Old Testament depicted the shape of the earth and blah, 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 right? So he's resentful for that, but of course he's going to correct him.
He complains that Christians are not taught about these things. He says it was never taught from other Christians. He said probably they themselves were unaware of the verses in the Bible that teach about the firmament because nobody ever taught them about it either. And so I think there's a certain...
Well, the second is the first day, no, the second day, it says the separation of the waters inside the firmament. So William Lane Craig, you are a liar. The thing is, they don't teach it literally. That's the problem. That's the difference.
Certain resentment that's coming to the surface here, that he feels somehow the wool has been pulled over his eyes, and that now he's seeing for the first time this antiquated, allegedly ancient Near Eastern
No, it's not alleged. And I can prove it. It's not alleged.
View of the world that you have described. And I think the good news for Alex is that what Christian Old Testament scholars have done a very good job of doing is showing that the Old Testament does not indeed teach a flat disc-shaped earth covered by a solid dome known as the firmament, and moreover that neither do the ancient Near Eastern views of the world embody such a mythical conception. So he's simply incorrect in thinking that people are sweeping things under the rug rather than exploding a false view of the ancient world and of Genesis 1.
Okay. And I was told this too. I think I was in junior high, how that the Bible talks about the circle of the earth, and that could be interpreted sphere, and that the Bible was ahead of its time on that. That's not necessarily the case, as I understand, either.
Right. I'm not going to carry any brief for these sorts of attempted proof texts in the Old Testament that try to import modern science into the text and show that, for example, the spherical shape of the earth was anticipated by Old Testament authors. I have no interest in that whatsoever. Rather,
of course, you're not interested, because it will defeat your argument.
What I want to show is that neither Genesis 1 nor ancient Babylonian thinkers.
Careful, you're going to fuck it up there.
Believed, let me put it back.
Yeah.
Rather, what I want to show is that neither the author of Genesis 1.
Okay, because we don't know. He doesn't say Moses. Okay, he just says the author.
Nor ancient Babylonian thinkers can be proved to have believed that the world was a flat disc-shaped object.
Shut up. Right. Time to prove it. Right. This is a map. One of the earliest map done in clay. Okay. I took the picture, but let me show you the original. Babylonian map. This one. Right. Babylonian map of, hold on, let me say that again. Map of the world. Right? It was created around the 6th century before Christ. 600 years before Christ. Okay? Just take that into consideration. It's a Babylonian clay, written in Akkadian. Depiction of the known world. They thought that this was it. Okay, as simple as that. They thought this was it. And William Lane Craig says the ancient historian didn't know about that. That is a liar.
Surrounded by a circumferential ocean over which there was a solid dome resting upon the earth at the horizon. I think, Kevin, that view is not simply mistaken, it is demonstrably mistaken. They did not believe such a thing.
Wrong again. Wrong again. Objects on the Babylonian map of the world, depicting the towns and whatnot. $700 years to 500 before Christ. That's bullshit.
And I think we can prove it.
Well,
go on.
Go right ahead.
All right.
I'm all ears.
Now, who is he, or what is he going to use? Is he going to use a staff commentary from recent scholars? Because that's what he likes to do. He likes to tag recent scholars, saying, no, it wasn't true.
In these ancient Babylonian myths,
you
have the description of stone heavens like layers above the earth, and the stars are inscribed in the lowest of these heavens. But clearly, these myths were not understood by the Babylonians literally, because that would be in contradiction to the constant motion of the fixed stars, as well as the sun and the moon, across the sky.
Wrong. The thing that the Babylonians did not know is how high was this dome. So basically the ancient people were looking at the skies, right, and recording the motion. He's correct that the Babylonians used to record the motions. But what he's omitting is that they did not know the distance. Okay, so when they looked up, they thought that's the edge. And the unknown was the actual water. Okay?
These ancient Mesopotamian astronomers.
Right, they were not astronomers. Right? Absolutely not. They were not astronomers. That title did not exist. They were just people, right, writing down information. They're just trying to say, no.
Were meticulous in their observation.
Yeah, but he's trying to insult intelligence, insult our intelligence, right? An astronomer doesn't write something or write what happened to a celestial body in one day. This takes years and years of recorded history, right? And then they can do their calculations or whatever based on observation, right? He's thinking, he's trying to transmit to us that is, at that moment they did not think about X.
Of the heavens. And we're able to
remember, creating the heavens and the earth. So anything that is above the earth was heaven.
Compound star charts that would predict the return of the fixed stars to their exact locations.
That does not prove that they thought that we were in a dome at all. What they did not know is how they return. It was an ellipse or circle or whatever. They did not know that. Okay, because they did not know the shape of the earth.
Year after year, and would chart the eclipses of the moon and of the sun and the motion of the planets with regard to these fixed stars. And that is incompatible with the modern assumption that the ancient Mesopotamians thought of the heavens as a dome-like structure with the stars.
See, he has to research it, right? He's looking at somebody's paper. He's going by authority.
Embodied in the dome. Such a dome could not move if it were resting on the earth.
Yeah, that's the whole point. The idea was not that the celestial bodies were outside the dome. The dome was the outer rim of the firmament. You're missing the freaking point, okay? So you think that the firmament is a small thing to them. Now it's not. Since they cannot quantify the distance, right? The firmament is, the size of the firmament is the length of what they can see. Simple as.
And yet they did observe the stars to move across the sky. Moreover, in the ancient text called the astrolabes, which are these ancient Babylonian astronomical texts, they describe the motion of the planets, which they called bibu, or wild sheep, because...
Right. The motion of the stars does not negate to them, or does not disprove or any way, shape or form, the size or the distance of the earth or the distance of the firmament. You are just describing what they have depicted, what they saw, what they transcribe in stone or in clay. Okay, like that one. Okay, or like this one here. Babylonian observation of Halley's Comet, 164 before Christ. Okay, this is the diary, right? They were writing a diary on stone about things that happen. Simple. From the 700 years before Christ to this time, it's not one human being. This information is being passed from generation to generation, or from master to apprentice to master to apprentice to like that. Okay, it's simple. And what he's talking about, astrolabes, is this, right? The ancient, what am I looking for here? Right, the astronomical dating of the Babylonian astrolabe, right? And it goes way back, 5,500 before the Common Era or before Christ. We'll find the Babylonian astronomical text known as the Babylonian astrolabe. So this is what William Lane Craig is talking about, right? From that time back, yeah, from 5,000 years ago, before Christ, obviously, yeah, to 500, right? To 500, which is this map here, right? Or from 5,500 to 1,164 years. So it is a ton. What about this one? Tabula Astrolabe, yeah, dating on the 12th century, before, yeah, 1,200 years before Common Era. They were writing. See these circular patterns? These stones? Right? So William Lane Craig is talking out of his rear.
Because of the way they would wander in contradiction to the fixed stars.
It doesn't matter. He's talking about fixed stars. It doesn't matter. Fixed star means something is stationary there, right? It does not matter. And other things move around that fixed star. So freaking what? That does not negate that they thought there was a firmament, a dome-shaped firmament on top of that. You're missing the freaking point, or you're trying to mislead him, the viewers, and us, but not me.
They knew the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn from their observations. And they noticed that these stars moved with a kind of zigzag motion across the heavens and across...
Hold on. Across the heavens. Where is the heavens? Heavens is between... Heavens is here. Let me see that again. Right here. This was considered to be the heavens. Right, when allegedly the Holy Spirit was wandering on the seas, and all of a sudden he pushed a portion of the waters that it was here up there and created the firmament, right? And then you got the stars and whatnot and the sun. Can you imagine this, right? But William Lane Craig is making a big deal out of it, saying no, that never happened. I mean, it's not real, but they thought it was real, which is a big difference.
The paths of the fixed stars.
So
you couldn't possibly have a dome, even a revolving dome, in which these things were moving across our visual.
No. You see, the mistake what William Lane Craig is, again, he's thinking that the dome is small. That's his mistake, or that's what he's trying to equate, because he's going by our current understanding that the stars are hundreds of light years away from us, or millions of light years away, right? And that is long for us. Okay, but the ancient Babylonians did not know about those distances. They just saw light, right? And they were recording events, right? Accurate events, but still events. He is misleading.
Horizon, because it would be impossible for the planets to move back and forth across the paths of the fixed stars in that way. So these ancient Babylonian texts just explode the idea that these ancient thinkers believed that there was a solid dome over the earth in which the stars were inscribed. In his blog, Alex says that when he attended Christian private school, we were taught that scientists in the ancient times were the ones who thought the earth was flat. Never mind that science did not exist there. He's wrong on both counts. It was ancient science that taught that the stars and the planets move, and that did not believe in a kind of fixed dome.
Oh, careful. Nobody said that they were not moving. Okay? Nobody said that they were not moving.
Resting on the horizon over the earth, and science most certainly did exist. Ancient Babylonian mathematics and astronomy.
No, when he says Babylonians, right, careful, right, because they were from 5,000 years before the Christ down to 150 years. So that's a hell of a long time, okay? And he's just speaking like if it was yesterday.
Were the origins of science. Francesco.
Not particularly science, but the recording of celestial bodies. They were definitely meticulous. Probably they had plenty of spare time.
Francesca Rochberg is a philosopher and historian of
philosopher. That's the problem.
Science at the University of California, Irvine. And she points out in her book, The Heavenly Writing, that Babylonian astronomy did not rely upon or even make use of geometrical models for the motion of a celestial body.
No, because they did not have the concept. They were just writing it down. Okay? In tablets, like so. Don't be dishonest. They did not have the skills, right? Or the understanding, or our current understanding on how the world works or the universe works. The constellations or whatnot. They did not know. Of course not.
Around the earth. I quote, "The lack of an explicit cosmological model within which Babylonian astronomical theory was to fit was of no consequence in view of the fact that the predictions did not derive from a geometrical conception that attempted to make causal sense of the phenomena, but rather depended on period relations, that is to say, the times during which the stars would return to their former positions,
sure,
whose purpose was to enable the computation of phenomena, to predict."
No, it's not computation. You're using a modern word. Yeah, the Babylonians did not compute anything. That's dishonest. They were just recording the events on clay. Say it as it is. Don't give a spin.
Predict celestial phenomena like eclipses, either forward or backward in time, in an instrumental way. In other words, ancient Babylonian science or astronomy was purely instrumentalist, Kevin, in its orientation. It only focused on making accurate predictions. It didn't.
No, they did not make predictions. They recorded events and then they use those events to see if it repeated, right? That's it. It's simple.
have a physical model of the cosmos or of the heavens. That there was no part of it. In fact, Rochberg has expanded on this theme in her more recent book, Before Nature, in which she points out that the Babylonians used two very different systems of calculating the celestial motions, both of which cannot be true. They are both effective in yielding correct predictions, but they are completely different systems so that they have no physical significance whatsoever. Babylonian astronomy wasn't a physical interpretation of the way the world was. Now,
they did not know how the world was. They just recorded events. William Lane Craig, don't be dishonest. Well, you were dishonest. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. I know you're a preacher, right? I know you want to evangelize your shitty religion, your man-made religion, right? But no, please don't do that.
I could imagine someone responding to this by saying, well, all right, so the ancient Babylonian astronomers and scientists
They were not astronomers.
Didn't believe in the fixed dome over the earth, but maybe...
You see, fixed dome. He's trying to... It's like around the corner, the dome.
The mythological texts believed in such a thing. Maybe myth held to the sort of fixed dome. But that's a naive bifurcation between myth and science in the ancient world. In ancient Babylon, religion and science were not neatly bifurcated into two separate fields. Rather, they infused each other. For example, in the famous Enuma Elish, one of the most famous mythological texts of ancient Babylon, Marduk, the chief god, organizes the stars, the planets, the constellations into the same patterns.
Careful. You are describing somebody that has got data from previous generations of recording said data. That's lame, man. Yeah, that's lame. That's like me looking at the weather map and making a prediction out of it.
That are described in the astronomical astrolabs. And so the ancient Mesopotamians were already in their myths employing scientific notions. Moreover, their scientific notions were motivated by religious desires. They were obsessed with divination. In the ancient world, divination...
Idiot. That's how our religion started. They look at the stars for something superior, for making sense of things, and they amalgamated the heavenly world with supernatural events or supernatural entities.
It was a lucrative and thriving industry, and the reading of the signs in the heavens and the constellations was enormously important. And so the purpose of the so-called heavenly writing in the stars was to discern the will of the gods. And so the interpenetration of science or astronomy and mythology in the ancient world prevents us from trying to draw a neat dichotomy between them.
Why are you so reading your laptop? You haven't got a clue what you're fucking saying. You're reading from somebody else. Right?
The fact is that they were the same sort of exploration. Now, that's just Mesopotamia. I could say exactly the same thing with regard to ancient Egyptian mythology, but I'll just skip over that. Let me quote from a pair of scholars with regard to the way the people in the ancient world understood the cosmos. This is from Othmar Keel and Sylvia Schroer. They say, people in the ancient Near East did not conceive of the earth as a disk floating on water with the firmament inverted over it like a bell jar with the stars hanging from it.
What do you mean like that? Early Hebrew conception of the universe. Hebrew. Never mind early Mesopotamian people.
They knew from observation and experience with handicrafts that the lifting capacity of water is limited and that gigantic vaults generate gigantic problems in terms of their ability to carry dead weight. The textbook images that keep being reprinted of the ancient Near Eastern world picture, such as Alex reprints in this very blog, are based, they say, on typical modern misunderstandings that fail to take into account the religious components of ancient Near Eastern conceptions and representations.
Bill, so in conclusion today, when someone brings up some of the verses that in the Old Testament that talk about the firmament,
right,
and of the Old Testament, is our approach saying, look, they didn't even think that, and here's why, and recount some of the evidence that you've just given, or do they just say, you just say, look, that was written in poetic form, and we're talking about poetry here?
I wouldn't say poetry, Kevin.
No, he cannot say poetry, because apparently it was allegedly God that said that in Genesis 1:2, I think it is. Basically the second day.
But I get the drift of what you're saying. I would say it's written in figurative or metaphorical language. The word for firmament is rakia.
Oh, you mean rakia? This rakia you're talking about? You shithead?
And I think that Ben Smith has probably given the best characterization of the denotation of rakia. He says that it refers to the whole sky, all that can be seen above the earth from the surface. That is the rakia. It is the whole sky, all that can be seen from above the earth from the surface. John Walton has put it nicely by saying, yes, there was a rakia, and it is blue.
Yeah, a big blue rakia.
It's just the sky. Yeah. It's that's all it is. It's the sky.
Right. It was the sky. But the people who saw the sky, they don't know how big the sky is. You just misrepresent the understanding. You are putting it like if it was this big, and it wasn't for them. The sky for them was the reach of their eyes, as far as they can see. Right? So, nah, that's not cool. That's not cool, Mr. William Lane Craig. Right, so finish with that one. Right, the next one is from Hugh Ross and versus Kent Hovind. Okay, one is a new age young earth creation, and the other one is old age creation. And they're both from comparing dick, basically. No, my one is bigger than yours, type of thing. Okay, so it is long, but this one I'm going to shorten it.
We're talking tonight with two special guests about the topic: is the universe
okay, special guest
and the earth, are they billions of years old or just thousands of years old? And are Genesis 1 and 2 compatible with contemporary scientific evidence today? My guests are Dr. Hugh Ross, who received his PhD in astronomy from the University of Toronto. He did his postdoctoral research on quasars at Caltech. Also, Dr. Kent Hovind, who received his PhD in education.
PhD in education. Probably teaching 5-year-olds, yeah, and abusing them mentally. This guy is a criminal, right? Convicted criminal.
Writing his doctoral dissertation on the subject of creation and evolution. Guys, we're glad that you're here tonight, and we're going to start right off with an important question. And Dr. Ross, I'd like to start with you. The Bible says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Now, you believe the scientific evidence for the Big Bang proves that this statement is true, but you also believe that the Big Bang theory shows that the age of the universe and the Earth is billions of years old, and the scientific evidence astronomers have discovered about the Big Bang, it perfectly
an old age creation, this guy.
Fits the biblical creation account in Genesis 1 and 2. Why? Talk to us.
Sure. Well, I'd like to give credit where it's due. I mean, a lot of people think Albert Einstein and George Gamow were the ones that discovered the Big Bang. But in truth, they were upstaged by 2,000 years by Moses and David and Zechariah, Jeremiah, Isaiah. Because what you see is 8 times the Bible states that the universe was transcendently created, a transcendent beginning of matter, energy, space, and time, which is identical to the Big Bang concept of a singular beginning. And
this guy is using pseudoscience, right? He's using the scriptures to put more shit into the bag, basically. I mean, the universe is older, obviously, right? But he's trying to make it a religious concept. It's bullshit.
Likewise, in 11 different places in the Bible, it tells us that the universe is continually experiencing ongoing expansion, you know, the stretching out of the heavens. It's in the calactive participle form, this continual stretching out. And the third point is that you have in Romans chapter 8 that the entire creation is subject to the law of decay. And that implies that the universe was much hotter in the past than it is now. Otherwise, you're not going to get this progress towards decay. And those are the 3 fundamental principles of the Big Bang theory. And so the question is not whether or not it's a Big Bang, but
this guy basically is smacking Ken Hovind with his current understanding of the stars. I mean, he's right about the information of the stars, but he's trying to fit it into the Bible somehow. He's trying to squeeze it in, okay, that amount of time.
I think what divides us is how long has the universe been expanding, and I can suggest 7 easy tests.
I can imagine what he's saying. This Hugh Ross is fucking full of shit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
There are a dozen more that are more complicated, but I think the 2 that are the most compelling is that stars and planets are impossible unless the universe has been expanding for billions of years. If it's only thousands, all you get is hydrogen gas. If it's trillions, all you get are black holes. Moreover, you can only get stable orbits of planets about stars and stars about the centers of galaxies if the universe has been expanding continually for billions of years.
Before Ken answers here, the fact is, where is the scientific community? Are they admitting that the universe had a start?
Yes.
Give me an example.
Well, you've got Stephen Hawking, for example, who produced the space-time theorem of general relativity. And that theorem is based on only 2 conditions. If the universe contains mass, and a bathroom scale is usually enough to convince most skeptics, and number 2, if the dynamics of the universe is governed by the equations of general relativity, then there must exist a cause that brings the universe into existence independent of matter, energy, and 10 space-time dimensions.
Okay, so it had a start. Are they a little troubled by that problem?
Very much. I mean, one of my books I wrote about how for 60 years, astronomers did everything they could to get around the implications of general relativity, but observational evidence forced them to accept that this is really true. In fact, general relativity now ranks as the best proven principle in all of physics.
All right. So to sum up, the fact is matter, energy, and all the rest has not been here eternally, which is what science is now saying and admitting. If you had a start, you had to have a starter.
In this universe.
So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth is coming on very strong in the scientific community.
Yeah, and it's not a Hindu starter, it's a Christian starter. I mean, what's unique about Christianity...
Actually, it wasn't. It was in the Old Testament. You're full of shit. Christianity was with Jesus Christ, not with the Hebrew side of it. It wasn't Christianity. Wrong.
It alone speaks about God creating independent of matter, energy, space, and time. Even time is created.
Genesis is not the New Testament. Christianity is or started after Jesus.
All right. Kent, you also believe the biblical statement that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, but you differ in believing when God did it. You think that he did it 6,000 years ago. What scientific evidence proves the universe is young and the Big Bang Theory is not true in terms of time?
I would have to say if what you're proposing is true, then there is no possible way the average person in the world can read this book and understand it.
Of course not, because it's full of shit.
The God that I worship wrote a book that anybody can read and understand the vast majority.
The God of the Bible did not write a book. There are 66 books compiled into one piece of shit book. So you are also misleading.
Of it. And this book clearly says God made everything in 6 days. They were days just like we have today.
6 days, right?
I think the Big Bang Theory is one of the most ridiculous ideas I've ever heard of in the world. And
that's your problem. That's your ignorance talking.
I think we'll have an interesting discussion on that tonight.
Okay, tell us why.
Well, Big Bang Theory does not explain the origin of time, space, or matter. What exploded? Where did it come from? Where did the energy come from?
So? What's that got to do? We know exploded, not who made the explosion.
Why are some of the planets spinning backwards to others? You know, if a spinning object breaks apart in a frictionless environment, everything spins.
You are advocating for the God of the gap. If we don't know something, it's because of God.
The same way. And yet we have Venus, Uranus, and possibly Pluto spinning backwards, and at least 6 moons spinning backwards. And he mentioned everything is tending toward decay, and yet what he said about the Big Bang is exactly the opposite of that. Where did all this stuff come from?
Here, what do you come back with?
Well, I mean, we're talking about decay since the transcendent beginning. I mean,
why would God need to use a Big Bang? Why not just make it right?
Well, that's what he says he did. He says he created matter, energy, space, and time. That's exactly what the Big Bang is saying. It's identical. There's no difference between Genesis 1:1.
There's no difference between what you're saying and what Carl Sagan says. That's what I see. I see what you say as being totally foreign to God's Word, and I get real nervous when somebody teaches something. Well, when somebody teaches something where we have to have a guru to explain it, now you have a cult.
We don't need a guru.
Anybody can read this book and understand.
Right. The reason being is people can understand it is because it was written in a simplified form. If you say God created the heaven and the earth, fine, that's it, as simple. Yeah, you're making, Mr. Ken Hovind, you're making people if you can get your way, everybody would be ignorant. That's the problem.
As I said, you've got 6 different Bible authors speaking about the heavens being continually stretched out.
No. There are 6 different times where it says God stretched out the heavens. It doesn't prove the Big Bang.
Well, a Big Bang says that a transcendent being is the one that's responsible.
No. You're putting words into the system.
For that.
I agree there is stretching of the heavens, but I don't think that proves it's billions of years old. See, that's where you went from the observation to the interpretation of the observation, and that's where you get in trouble.
Do you agree that the universe contains planets and stars?
We know that we have at least 9 planets around our sun, and
9 planets around our star. That's it.
And yes, there are plenty of stars out there, trillions and trillions of them.
Now we've got trillions, yeah?
Well, there are planets and there are stars, and it's been expanding for billions of years.
Well, I guess we don't know that it's been expanding. We do see a red shift from some of the stars, and some interpret that to mean expanding. Some interpret that to mean tired light. The Bible says clearly...
Let me slow this down for our people out in the audience there, and that is basically what you're saying is that, okay, if we do have planets and we do have stars out there, that, Hugh, I think what you're saying is that in astronomy, that there's a way of measuring how far away those guys are. Okay?
That's true.
All right, and I hear Kent saying, no, let's start. How do you know how far away they are? And then let's have Kent come back on that.
Well, now they're going to start talking about the measurements, right? Doing some serious trigonometry and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's not the discussion here. They're going more into deeper. Right, so I'm done with that one. Okay, so the next one is similar, right? But to the point.
Dr. Ross, during your lecture earlier on, you said that you were convinced that the chronological sequence of the creation events in Genesis 1 is exactly correct. Just allow me to read a couple of verses here. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas.
That's the third day.
And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day.
Correct.
And then the Bible goes on to say, "And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night."
It's talking about the sun and the sun and the moon.
He made the stars also.
Correct.
And God.
So that means when he's saying on the fourth day that creating the stars, put attention where he's saying that the stars are.
God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. Now, as an astronomer, do you honestly believe that the earth preceded the sun in the creation of the universe, especially given everything you said about the importance of the intergravitational effect of like the sun, the moon on the earth and the sun on, the moon and the earth and so on and so forth throughout the solar system? That's my question.
Okay, excellent question. And
so basically he's saying what was first, the sun or planet Earth? God says that planet Earth was first in the first day, and on the fourth day was the sun. So he's trying to, well, let's see what he says.
2 points. You left out one verse in that sequence. It's verse 14, which says, "Let there be the great lights." And then there's another creation account you want to look at, Job 38, verses 8 and 9. Remember I made the comment you want all 20 creation accounts to be consistent?
20 accounts of the Genesis to be consistent.
When you go to Job 38 and 9, it will tell you that God enshrouded the primordial ocean of the earth in darkness. He wrapped it in thick darkness, referring to the atmosphere, the cloud layer.
No, that's wrong. No, that's not how the ancient Babylonian thought about that. Okay, and in the Bible it does not say that in the Genesis account. He's making shit up. He's trying to hide the light of the earth until the fourth day, basically. Right, so it's basically he's saying that this was covered in shit, basically. Right, and the sunlight will not go through. Watch this. Fucking deceiving.
So it was dark on the face of the deep.
Okay, face of the deep is the underwater.
Before the 6 creation days, because the earth was enshrouded with this atmosphere.
You see, he's looking at putting in the concept of a planet being round, right? So if it's shrouded the whole planet, right? There's no light for 3 days, day 1, day 2, and day 3. Think about it. There's no concept of day, because even if you rotate, you don't know when the day starts or when it finishes.
That was opaque to light.
Opaque to light, so yeah, so light cannot go through either way.
And that kept the waters below in darkness.
The waters below in darkness, right?
So when you read the first creation day, it says, "Let there be light." It doesn't say that God made the light. It doesn't say that God created the light. It says, "Let the light be." Therefore, what was taking place on creation day 1 is that God transformed the atmosphere of the earth so that the light that was outside could now pass through the atmosphere to the surface of the waters. So in creation day 1, the atmosphere was no longer opaque. It was now translucent.
What? What are you talking about? You're talking nonsense.
Then you get to creation day 4, and it says, let there be the great lights. It doesn't say that God made the great lights or he created the great lights. He says, let them be.
Yeah. What's the difference between the day 1 light and day 4 light?
And this is when God transforms the atmosphere a second time, so that instead of a translucent atmosphere, you now have a transparent atmosphere. Now,
what? Translucent and transparent? Are you fucking kidding me?
Remember in my talk, I made the point that the point of view or the frame of reference must be established first before you interpret the text. The Spirit of God is hovering over the surface of the waters of planet Earth. Therefore, we're to interpret.
Yeah. But over the whole planet.
Interpret the 6 creation days from the point of view of an observer on the surface of planet Earth.
No. Yeah, you put it at one point, right? But it was the Spirit in one point or all around the planet?
And it starts off as dark because the cloud layer is opaque.
What? So he's on the surface of the moon, of the planet, planet Earth, and you got opaque atmosphere from day 1.
The cloud layer becomes translucent.
Right. Oh, careful. You just fucked up there. The cloud layer. That's on day 1. You need the sun to create clouds.
Therefore, there's light. But not until creation day 4 does the atmosphere become translucent. That's the first time observers can actually see the lights that have been responsible for the light ever since creation day 1.
No. So it was before. So the sun before it was before there. That's dishonest, because allegedly the Bible says that the sun was on the 4th day. Okay, not the light, the sun, or the greater light.
Then verse 15 tells you why, so they may serve as signs to mark seasons and years. And for whom?
No, that does not make it. The rotation of the earth in relation to the sun that marks the seasons, not the light.
It's for the animals that will be created on creation day 5, the swarms of small sea creatures. And tomorrow we'll tell you.
Sea creatures. What do you need to make sea creatures on the 5th or 4th day when you can do it in day 1 because it's water?
Why we believe that refers to the Cambrian explosion, which is that first moment when God creates life that is so advanced it needs the visibility of the sun, moon, and stars to regulate their biological clocks.
Yeah, in one day.
That's why it says so that they may serve to mark seasons and years. Birds, for example, need to know the seasons and the years. And then verse 16 says, so God made the sun, moon, and stars. But it's in the verb form, the completed form of the verb, the Hebrew verb, which means that God made the sun, moon, and stars at some unspecified time in the past.
No, it was on the 4th day, you idiot. According to the Bible.
Which means it could be day 3, day 2, day 1, or in the beginning. But based on Job 38, 9 and 10, we would conclude that they were made in the beginning, before the 6 days. Now this is all described in more detail
in your book.
In my book, The Genesis Question.
Oh, right. I understand. Because if it's not true, then you should not be selling the book because you're misleading people, right? So you have to follow with that bullshit.
Thanks.
Thank you for what? Bullshit. And this is his last, or my last video. The same thing from Hugh Ross.
Well, thank you.
Now he's much older. Can you imagine? But it's the same bullshit.
And it's great to be back in my hometown here of Vancouver. I literally grew up just a few miles from here in East Vancouver. And I'm the founder of Reasons to Believe, and you can engage us on a variety of Facebook and Twitter and are able to deliver. Have you ever talked to a scientist who believes the Bible is true? And they say, we don't think such a person exists. Well, saying, well, since we can't address making every attempt possible, given the language he was working with, that this really is an historical account of actual events that took place in the history of the earth.
Of course it
And
is.
so my response to people like Dennis Alexander is that the reason why they think that science contradicts what Genesis teaches is that they have failed to follow the biblical testing method. Now, I don't know about you, but I was educated here in Vancouver. I was taught the scientific method in grade 1. I was taught it in grade 2. I was taught it all 12 years.
So what's the problem?
But none of my public school teachers told me where the scientific method came from. But when I picked up the Bible, the scientific method jumped right off the page in the very first page of the Bible. And 9 years later, when I began to read up on the history of the Reformation, I realized the origin of the scientific method was from the pages of the Bible. And there's a reason why the scientific revolution exploded out of Reformation Europe. People began to read the Bible for themselves. They saw this biblical testing method. They applied it to their science research, and that was the birth of the scientific revolution.
Right.
And notice, only in a Christian context do we have science not only having a spark, but a revolution that continues to this day. Well, I've been told that when you give a talk in a church, you're supposed to only have 3 points. I typically have 20 or 25 points, scientific advance. And basically what I want to demonstrate is for you over the past 60 years, which is roughly the period of time I've been studying this, you see an increasingly stronger scientific case. And when you run into scientists who claim that Genesis teaches scientific nonsense, it is teaching scientific nonsense if you get the wrong frame of reference. If you claim the frame of reference is the universe all the way through, then indeed Genesis 1 is teaching scientific nonsense.
You know why? Because if you look at the planet Earth from space, there's no such thing as day. Right? The day is only an Earth perspective. You have to be on Earth to savor the day factor. Okay, to notice that the planet is rotating. Else, if you are on the moon and looking at this at the Earth, you can see it rotate, but you don't have a perception of day because the sun is always hitting the same place. Right, and you can be months and months and months and months, and it says when is going to be day, right? But if you are in the planet, yeah, you're gonna go from the day cycle side of it, and the Earth is gonna spin, and then you're gonna be on the dark side, i.e. on the night side, because the sun cannot the sun rays cannot hit the opposite side. That's the concept of nighttime.
But if you change the frame of reference from the universe to the surface of the earth, below the clouds, not above the clouds, as you're going to see, you get a perfect fit with the established record of nature. And if I can encourage you with this, the Bible tells us that God has given us 2 books of revelation, the book of Scripture and the book of nature.
No. Book of Scripture is just a compilation of books from different authors that we don't know. Wrong.
So if you came here this evening saying, well, I guess Hugh is the professional scientist, I'll let him take care. But we got an atmosphere above that water. This.
Right. He's using this as a frame of reference. Right? Look at the ocean. It is completely covered, the planet, right? And in no way it says in any of the counts, well, tell a lie, on the second day, it creates the firmament, but with 2 layers of water, right? So you need another layer. That's the information he's missing.
This is the point of view. Not here, but right here. And that makes all the difference in how you interpret what's going on in the 6 days of creation. Now, it also tells us there is darkness over the face of the deep. Now, the universe was created in the beginning, so light pervaded the universe, but it was dark on the surface of the waters.
No. You need to tell us the source. Where was the light? Okay, where was the light? You are saying 2 things incorrectly. You said that it was light, but from where? And then that it was dark. Were you on the opposite side when the alleged light did not hit the planet? Was the planet spinning to have the concept of day and night?
And I remember reading that at age 17 when I opened up the Bible for the first time, saying, this must mean that the atmosphere here is not able to let light through. Now, I had a little bit of an advantage. I've been studying astronomy since I was 7, and I knew that all planets as big as Earth must begin with opaque atmospheres. But here's what happened when I got to the book of Job. I mean, there's actually 3 other biblical texts that take you through the 6 creation days. Not just Genesis 1, but it's also, you go through the 6 creation days in Job 37, 38, and 39, Psalm 104, and Proverbs 8.
It doesn't matter. You're quoting the Old Testament, right? If that is first, then don't call Genesis. I quote those people first.
And when I went through the Job text, this is what it says. I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness. So whereas Genesis 1 implies...
Yeah, but the guy wasn't there. He's just writing it. He's just assuming something.
...is that the atmosphere is opaque to light. Notice that Job, in the parallel account, tells us explicitly it's dark because of the clouds.
Right. In what day? First, second, third? I'm going to show you another video because I'm pissed off with this guy. Right. On how... Watch this. This is educational and this is the last video.
Let's look at the science of rain. And
this is not about the age of the earth. This is how the clouds are made.
How raindrops form. First, we'll need the sun.
First, we need the sun.
When the sun shines on water on the Earth's surface, the heat of the sun warms the water, turning it into an invisible gas called water vapor. This process, the changing of water into a gas, is called evaporation. Because gases are lighter than liquids, water vapor rises up into the sky. And the further you move up and away from the Earth's surface, the colder the temperature gets. So in the sky, the water vapor cools and changes back into tiny water droplets. This change is called condensation and is the opposite of evaporation. Clouds are made up of tiny water droplets, so when condensation occurs in the sky, clouds form and grow. Let's take a closer look. When water droplets bump into one another, they stick together and grow in size.
Right.
They continue to grow until they are too heavy and fall as rain. They even grow as they bump into one another on their journey from the cloud to the ground. And every single raindrop that reaches the ground is made up of 1 million of the original tiny water droplets. Raindrops fall on the ground surface where the sun can shine on them, and the whole process happens again. This is called the water cycle and keeps water moving from the ground to the sky, providing the water needed for plants, animals, and people to survive. So now you know.
You see? Simple as that. You need the sun to create those clouds. and he's saying that the clouds were opaque. Where the hell did the cloud came from? There was no mention of clouds anywhere. So some preachers are dishonest. It is not cool at all. Okay, so for me, that's it. I don't need any more evidence. I don't need to do anything else. Right? Different people interpret the Genesis account in different ways to suit. Right? And then some people, some preachers, right? They use the profession, right? To make books and to tell stories about how the things might have been according to a passage on the Bible. But it could be wrong. Definitely not right. So anyway, I've done this in each video. I've done in parts. Okay, so now I have to stitch it all up and see how long it gets. So for me, I'm signing off. For whoever has been watching this into his entirety, thank you very much. And I hope it'll be good for something. So anyway, thank you for watching, and until next time.